Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. This is episode 22, I believe. I am Cristi. I am wife to Ron and mother to daughters Tatum, who is 12, and Delaney, who is 9, and I live in the Denver area of Colorado. I have since relocating from Southern California last September, and I love it here. The other day it was 54 degrees outside here and 90 degrees back home. I don't miss 90 degrees in April or February, which happens, and I definitely won't be missing the 110, 115 it will be in August. It will get warm here. I mean, we'll get up to like 95, but and we may even get up over 100 once or twice. But it's a lot better than where I come from. Again, my name is Cristi. I want to welcome you all back if you have been tuning in for a while, and welcome for the first time for all of my new viewers. I have had quite a spike in subscribers over the past couple of weeks, and I don't really know why, but I am really appreciative. It's a hard word to say. And I'm really liking it, so I hope that you are enjoying the podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Cristi-Lael, and then on Instagram as Cristi-Lael without the dash, though I do spend most of my time on Ravelry. I do try to post on Instagram regularly. And then we have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry where we have chatter, and you're encouraged to show off the things that you've made, and we have giveaways, and we're starting our first KAL, which I will discuss in just a minute. But I wanted to say that if you follow me on Instagram, then you know that I have recently been battling with strep throat. I got sick last Thursday, and by Friday I was basically laid out, and went to the doctor on Saturday and found out that it was strep and got amazing antibiotics, and by Sunday I started to feel like a little bit of a human, and then today I am feeling quite a bit better. Still not 100%, and you know, strep throat is a bacterial infection in the throat and tonsils, but it does not cause coughing, and it doesn't cause congestion, which you can tell by my voice that I have. I will cut out all the coughing. There's a cough involved as well. Apparently I got strep throat and a cold at the same time because I'm talented that way. And so, so my throat feels really good, but I'm still kind of dealing with the aftermath of the cold. As I said, I'm feeling much better than I was over the weekend, and in each day I feel even that much more better. Still weak, still get tired easily, just feel kind of run down generally, and then there's times when the coughing gets to be an issue, and it's always like in the most inopportune time when I just can't stop coughing for a few minutes. But yeah, I'm taking it easy, and hopefully I will, I'll be right as rain in a couple of days. But going back to the Relatively Crafty Podcast group, as I said, we do have our first KAL that is starting on May 1st, which is in just about a week. Just 6 days. It starts next Monday, and it is the Summer Sweater KAL. I am hosting this KAL with Sarah of the Canadian Knitter Podcast, and so you are encouraged to double dip in both of our FO threads, and in any other thread where you can get this garment to qualify for their KAL. Please feel free to spread it all over Ravelry. I'm a big fan of just sharing your FOs. I think we should all be very proud of what we make, because we are creating them. We are making them. It takes talent. Not everybody can do it. So the KAL is the Summer Sweater KAL. As I said, you are encouraged to make a spring-ish, summer-ish, warmer weather, slightly lighter garment. It does not need to be a sweater. It can be a tee, it can be a bolero, it can be cropped something, it can be a sleeveless shell, I mean, whatever. It just needs to cover your torso and have, designated spots for arms. So yeah, and as I said last week, I have made a summer top out of bulky weight yarn, so you can use any weight of yarn as long as you can justify it as a sweater that you're going to be wearing in slightly warmer weather. Then that's good with me. I'm pretty easy, honestly. So yeah, that starts on Monday, May 1st, and will go until June 15th. And I did open up a chatter thread yesterday. I know I had talked about opening it up several days earlier, but I got sick. And then I will open up the FO thread here pretty soon. And let's just talk about it. Talk about what you're excited about, maybe knitting, or, what you're, what kind of yarn you're excited about using. Maybe you're got plans for a wedding, and so you're looking for a little shrug to wear over a dress. Stuff like that. That'd be great. I'd love to just have a lot of chatter in the thread. And for those of you who have never knit a sweater before, this actually might be a really good time to try out a sweater, because you can knit something that's a little bit smaller in like a bolero or a shrug, and yet still get kind of some of the experience in knitting something that's sweater size. For example, I knit this back in 2014 as a quick little knit, and this would totally qualify for the KAL. This is the shoulder holder by Melissa Hills, and I knit it out of Delectable Yarns Top Shelf Worsted. Yeah. And I used 350 yards, so not very much. It's really meant to be worn over like a tank top instead of a long sleeve shirt, but it kind of gives you an idea. Yeah, I think I did a little bit of adjustment on it because I don't think that it called for a button. I think it was just meant to be worn open, but I wanted something that connected right here at the top. And yeah, so you can just see it's just real short, barely goes underneath where my bra sits, and it's perfect when you're wearing like a camisole or a tank top. You just want a little something, or if you had like a vintage style dress, it would look really good over that as well. And so this would be perfect to wear for, or to make for the KAL. It works out very quickly, yet you are still getting some really important techniques in there. This is a raglan style sweater, so you're able to learn how to do the raglan shaping, and then, learn how to do armholes, and, there's even a little bit of sleeve here, and then, body shaping. Well, I don't think there's any shaping on the side, but you're still basically getting some of the vital techniques of a top-down raglan sweater without having to invest all the time and the cost of yarn, because I'll be the first one to admit that it's really discouraging when you're making, one of your first sweaters and it doesn't fit, and you've made it out of yarn that you've been really excited about using for ages and ages, special yarn that you've saved, and then the sweater doesn't fit, it doesn't look right, or you've made a mistake on it, or whatever. And so I do encourage people who are new to sweaters to either make a baby sweater, which is actually how I started sweater knitting, or to make a cropped sweater, something like that, so that you're not investing as much into it until you start to feel a little bit more comfortable with the whole process. So anyway, there's the KAL. I'm sorry, each time I go to podcast about it, I'm like, I'm just gonna mention it real quickly. And then I remember, oh no, but I could use this example, and then I have to go and get the sweater and bring it back. The other thing going on in our KAL for the next couple of days is the giveaway for the You So-and-So bag. This is the Woodland Picnic bag, which I've raved about already. I absolutely love it. You know that I love it. It has this great orange plates and knives, spoons, and forks fabric on the inside, and then all of these great woodland creatures in blue and orange having picnics on the outside. And she was so generous to donate this as a giveaway for my podcast viewers. I thought that was way awesome. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so I'm really excited to be able to give this away. And the giveaway is almost closed. You have, what, until Sunday? You have until Sunday, and then the giveaway will close. So to enter, if you haven't yet, you need to be a member of the group on Ravelry, and you need to be a subscriber to this channel, and you need to just basically tell me which of the bags on the You So-and-So website that you would like to have, and which one is your favorite, and yeah, I will do a random number generator draw from that, and there you have it. And don't fret. I have been on antibiotics long enough. I am no longer contagious, and I promise you that I stayed out of this room and did not touch this bag the entire time that I was contagious. So, yeah. So this does not have any strep throat germs, I promise. Okay, so now let's get into the knitting. And I have to kind of forewarn you right now, this is a very sock-heavy episode. Well, I mentioned it on Instagram, but the reason that I knew I needed to go to the doctor on Saturday was because I had gone 2.5 days without any desire to knit at all. And I knew that if I was sick enough that I didn't want to knit at all, I was really sick and I should be seen. So I normally knit a lot on the weekend, and I didn't this weekend. I spent most of the weekend in bed sleeping or coughing or trying to, wait till the Tylenol kicked in so that my throat wouldn't hurt quite so bad and I could go back to sleep. I didn't watch TV. I read just a tiny bit, and most of that was when I was waiting for the Tylenol to kick in. And I didn't really go anywhere unless I had to. And I didn't knit. I just slept. I was really, really sick. So yeah, so there's not as much knitting, and what I have knitting is mostly socks, so I'm just letting you know now. And these aren't the first pair that I finished this week, but they are the ones that are already on the sock blocker, so we're going to go with that. I finished my April Desert Vista Dye Works socks. This is out of their Viso base, and the colorway is Zambari Zumba, which is very bright and colorful, and I love it. And I did these, I finished these like on Wednesday, I think. And I did them a little bit shorter than I have been. I think I wanted to get in another pair of socks before the end of the month. And so, and I think it was just the way that the colors worked out. It just happened to be that it felt right to stop these socks here. I like to have socks of varying lengths because it depends on what shoes I'm wearing, depends on what the season is. In the winter, when I'm wearing a lot of boots, I want to wear my tall socks, and then in the summer I want to wear short socks, and in those in-between times I want to wear, in-between socks. So I followed my recipe, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. If you're interested, it's Kristi's stripy sock recipe. I start with a Turkish cast-on toe-up, and I have a tutorial for the Turkish cast-on my channel. You're welcome to check that out. I start with 12 stitches on each needle, so 24 total, and then I increase up to 60 stitches total. And then when I get to about halfway through the foot, I increase on the bottom of the foot 2 more stitches, so I have 62. And then I get to where I want to put my heel in, which is for my foot, 7 5/8 inches. and then I put in a piece of waste yarn, and then I finish the leg, do however many rows of ribbing that I want to do for whatever works for the stripes that I happen to be doing, and then I finish off with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Go back, put those stitches back onto the needles, and taking out the waste yarn, of course, and then knit an afterthought heel. And there you have it. All done. Easy peasy mac and cheesy. And these are, of course, as I mentioned, my Desert Vista Dye Works socks for April. Desert Vista Dye Works is doing a year-long, and I think this is the 3rd year, annual sock club, monthly sock club, where you knit a pair of socks out of their yarn, starting them in the starting them and finishing them in the month. And they encourage you to do it every month, and you get prizes for however many you finish. So this is the 4th pair that I've done. I do have some yarn coming. In fact, it should be here any day to do my May and June. I think I get 2 skeins this time. So May and June socks, and then we'll see what I do for the rest of the year. And then next, I finished my Bitter Moon socks, which you might notice are inverted. The stripes are inverted. I started one on the yellow stripe, started the other one on the gray stripe, so they're kind of opposite of each other, which I like a lot, especially when you have these big thick stripes. I love big thick stripes. They're about 10 rows each, which is really great. And I did the same pattern as I did on the Desert Vista Dye Works socks. You know, I'm not going to go through it again. You know what I did. And I really love these. These are on Delectable Yarn. No, these are on A Million Stars in Her Cirque sock, which is an MCN 80-10-10, I believe, and the colorway is Bitter Moon, and I just think it's gorgeous. I love gray mixed with colors. I just really like gray. I like gray a lot, which is funny because I hate black. Like that's my least favorite color of all time, but I really like gray. And even dark gray, you know, like charcoal. I like that a lot, but I don't like black. So, anyway, yeah, really keen on these. Now, these are my box of socks for April, which is a year-long KAL hosted by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast, who dyes Woolen Vine yarns. If you're not familiar, the idea is that you knit a pair of socks each month for yourself, and you put them in a box. And when you're done with the year, you have 12 new pairs of socks that are just gorgeous and ready to be worn, and it's kind of exciting. So, yeah, I'm going to add these to my box today, and I will look forward to May's box of socks. But that is not the only pair of socks that I finished this week. I was really surprised. But I guess when you're really excited about something, you know how it goes. It just knits faster. I had showed you the yarn that I had gotten from Erin, who is the genius behind Bling Your String products and is half of the Knitting at Tiffany's with Added Bling podcast. And we had done a swap of some leftovers, and I got her yarn last week, or at least I showed it to you guys last week. I think I got it a little bit before then. And I was excited to make it into a pair of Rose City rollers. I had worn my Hippo for St. Patty's Day Rose City rollers recently for the first time, and absolutely love them, and I've decided that I need to have a bunch to wear for the summer because they're great. They're perfect. They're perfect to wear with my chucks. They're great to wear with tennis shoes, and I'm just really in love with them. And so, so after I finished the Desert Vista Dye Works socks, which I think was on Wednesday, I cast on for another pair of Rose City rollers, and I finished them. Remember, I didn't knit hardly at all the whole weekend, so that shows you how fast these flew. I started to feel sickly on Thursday, and so I just kind of, like, I didn't feel, like I had a sore throat, but it wasn't terrible. I just felt kind of bleh. And so I sat and watched some podcasts and knit almost the entire first sock on Thursday. And then I knit a very little on Friday because I had to take my daughter to a doctor's appointment. And so while I was waiting for her to be called in, I did just a little bit of knitting on that. But other than that, I didn't do anything. It wasn't until yesterday that I got the second sock done. And yeah, it's just such a fast pattern. Now, when I knit the first pair, I followed the pattern exactly, which was, it's a free pattern. So, you start top down, and then you do a heel flap and gusset, and then do the foot. And I did it, and it was okay, but I'm not a big fan of a top down heel flap and gusset. I don't mind it so much toe up, but top down it's just not my favorite. So when I knit the pair for my mom, if you recall, out of this yarn with the little baubles, not baubles, pom-poms, I knit them toe up and tried it that way with a fish lips kiss heel. And that was fine. I liked that a lot more, but I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and I'm afraid that for my own socks, they're going to slip off because they are really short socks. So what I've done with this pair, and what I think I'm going to continue to do, is I did them top down. Let me put this one down. I did them top down, but I did them with a fish lips kiss heel. So I think that's gonna be perfect. I tried this on and it feels really snug, like the first pair, which is good. And yeah, there you have it. So this is yarn that I got from Erin. It was left over from some socks that she made. I sent her some leftovers of socks that I made that she's going to use for her daughter, and I'm going to use her leftovers for Rose City Rollers. And she was very generous and sent this little added mini that just I thought went really, really well. And so so I used it. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but it's sparkly. This is a silver stellina, and the red has a gold stellina, but I think it still looks really good. And yeah, I just love them. I'm so glad they're done, and I'm so glad that I finished them the day before podcasting day, because now I can wear them without having to wait a week, like I sometimes have to do. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be making several pairs of these. Anything that I get that's, a half a skein or less, I'm going to be making into Rose City Rollers, because I need to have enough of these to get through. Well, I know how good I am at washing my hand knit socks promptly, so I probably need enough to get through 2 weeks, like 14, 15 pairs, and I only have 2, so I need to knit more. And that is all that I have finished. Now, you may have noticed that I don't have a little sock yet to go with the Rose City Rollers, and I will make that, but I haven't gotten to it yet. So I have that leftover yarn sitting and waiting for that. And then as far as whips go, I'll show it to you, but I didn't do anything on my pavement sweater by Vera Valimaki. I had intended on getting more done with this weekend, but as we know, nothing happened this weekend. So so there's that. I did, however, start another pair of socks. We are talking about Cristi here, and Cristi knits socks a lot. So and I just discussed how I really need to have more Rose City Rollers. So that's how it went. So I'm knitting another pair of Rose City Rollers. I'm really hoping to get them done before the end of the month. I don't think I'm going to have a problem with it. They are quick knits, as I said before. But I like to have all my socks done before the end of the month and start brand new socks at the beginning of the month, at least for this year, because of a lot of the KALs that I am in. They kind of have that as a rule. And so so I'm kind of taking some leftover bits and making a pair of like Franken socks. I had some leftover from the heel toe skein that came with the Color Theory sock set that I got from Hand Dyed by Kate, these socks here. I had some of that navy left over, and so I've started with that. I'm afraid it might be too dark for you guys to see this very well. But I basically did kind of the cuff in that. And that cuff will, of course, roll down. So you won't see, you'll just see kind of the pearl side of it. And then Erin sent this mini of purple, which is just this really, really pretty purple. And so I'm using that for at least heels and toes. And you can see here I've got the Fish Lips Kiss heel done on this one. And then for the body of the sock, I am using this. And unfortunately, I don't know what this yarn is. It's some kind of 4-ply sock yarn that somebody in California handed to me. It was a partial skein, and she was like, maybe you can make this into socks for your kids. I think I used part of it to make a hat for somebody at one time. I don't remember, but I had 26 grams left. And I've always really liked the colors in it. It's got a couple of shades of blue and even a little bit of brown and some yellow and a little bit of pink in there. I don't know. It just looked interesting. And it went really well with the navy, and I think it goes really well with the purple as well. That's just my personal opinion. And so I'm using this for the body of the sock, as I said, which you might be able to see right there. And then I don't think I'm going to have enough. I only had 26 grams, so I've got basically, no, not even 26, I had 25.8 grams. No, 25.6 grams. Yeah, I had 25.6 grams. Regardless, split it in half, it was 12.8 grams. So I've split it into 2 balls, right there, which were each 12.8 grams. And then I'm just going to kind of do as much of the foot as I can. But I do have a lot of this purple, enough to do both heels and toes, and have leftover. So I'll probably do a little bit of striping right in the middle of the foot, to or maybe right before the toe, to kind of offset that. Because I do still need to make sure that I have enough, a gram or 2 of this to make my mini sock. But I have a little bit, I have about a gram of the blue, and I'll have plenty of the purple, so I can put them all together and make my mini sock that way. It only takes 5 grams to make the mini sock. So yeah, that's my plan, and I'm actually doing these a little bit differently. Normally I do one sock and then the other. I don't suffer from second sock syndrome. I don't know why. I did used to suffer from that. I did used to knit that first sock and then go, but I think, honestly, I think it was when I got into stripy socks. I got into knitting stripy socks, and they were so much fun to knit, and I would do all the measuring with the first sock, and so the second sock was almost that much more fun, because I got, I didn't have to measure. I just went off of the, because you can see from the stripes, if you start the heel in the middle of the stripe of the first sock, then you're going to start the heel in the middle of the stripe of the second sock. And I always start my socks right where a color starts with stripes, so it makes it very easy to make them match exactly. And then sometime in those several years where I was knitting almost only stripy socks, I just really found a love for knitting vanilla socks. And so yeah, at this point, I really enjoy the process of knitting stockinette socks. I just really do. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why I will get bored and never want to knit the same hat pattern twice. But I have knit over 200 pairs of socks, and most of them, I'd say 75% of them at this point, have been stockinette. Maybe 65%. I did knit a lot of pattern socks at the beginning. And I never get bored of that. I never get bored of that. I'm always looking for the next one. And I say that I'm a process knitter on that because I'm a product. I'm a product knitter on a lot of things. A lot of things I just really want the final object. But with socks, it's really a process thing. I really enjoy the process of them. I don't need more socks. I have a drawer filled to the brim with socks. I could wear socks every day for a month, hand knit socks, and not have to do any laundry. And I make, 5 pairs of socks a month, thereabouts, and most of them are for me. So, at least 3 pairs of the socks that I make each month are for me. So I don't need any more socks. But I just really enjoy making them, and I enjoy, I enjoy making them for me. I enjoy making them for other people as well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like knitting on commission. I like knitting for my mom and for friends who I think will really appreciate a pair of socks. But I like making myself new socks. That makes me happy. That's how I most enjoy my hobby. So yeah, even though I have no need for another pair of socks for probably another year, I just really like making them. So yeah, I totally digressed and I apologize for that, but I am knitting these a little bit different. I normally knit one sock and then the next. That's how I got into this. But I decided, because I want to make sure that I get them done before the end of the month, and because I had an empty sock needle, because I'd finished 2 pairs of socks before, I decided to go ahead and knit them concurrently. So here's the first sock and here's the second sock. Now you can see I haven't done the heel on the second sock. I will be doing that today. And I've just finished the heel on the first sock shortly before I podcasted. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and that's why I had the yarn in 2 separate balls. And we will go from there. And that is all that I have on the needles. Not a whole lot. I do apologize for not having as much to show you today. Hopefully next week will be better. Just, that sickness really, that strep throat just really knocked me out. So, before I get into stash acquisitions, I do kind of like to show you guys, when I get down to the end of the month, what I plan on knitting for the following month. I don't plan all of my knitting out, but I do try to plan some of it out, mostly because it is a bit of a hassle to set up my Swift and ball winder. Well, not my ball winder, that's always set up, but my Swift, I don't have a place I can leave it up, so I have to, pull it out and set it up and then take it down. So I try to wind a bunch at once if I can. I'm actually kind of kicking myself because I did not wind the yarn for the sweater that I'm going to knit for my own KAL when I was winding yarn yesterday. I should have done that. But for the KAL, I am knitting Backshore by Alicia Plummer, and I am knitting it out of these 2 gorgeous yarns. This is Madeline Tosh DK in Oceana, and this is the Verdant Griffin DK. I think they call it Traveler. Yeah, Traveler DK, and the colorway is the Downcast Donkey. And I'm really excited about this. These 2 yarns are gorgeous. I have worked with both of these dyers and their bases on several occasions, and I just absolutely love them. And yeah, so I'll be casting this on for the summer sweater KAL. And then I picked out a couple of socks, a couple of skeins of yarn that I want to make socks out of this month, or well, May. I've got two color groupings that I want to make into some more Rose City rollers. This is a half skein of Blue Moon Fiber Arts Socks That Rock Lightweight in Pirate's Booty, I believe, that I've had for a long, long time. I don't remember what happened to the rest of the skein. I may have only gotten part of the skein. but I thought this would make some great Rose City rollers, and I just happened to have a little Lolo in Betty Davis eyes that I think complements the blue and Pirate's Booty very well. I'm hoping you can see that. I know that kind of got a shadow thing going on. So this will be my next pair of Rose City rollers. Well, one of the pairs of Rose City rollers that I make in May. And then the other pair that one of the other pairs that I'm planning on making in May is out of this. You guys might recognize this from last week, I believe. This is a sock set that I got in the Easter egg. It's in the Hatchling colorway by Hand Dyed by Kate. This is really pretty tonal blue that goes along with this really pretty tonal yellow. And so this will also be a pair of Rose City rollers. And then I took off April from Lolo Did It knitting because I was kind of a month ahead, really. The Hippo for Valentine's Day KAL didn't end until the end of March. I knit the socks in February, so I had to wait to find out, you know, how the KAL went. And then the Hippo for St. Patty's Day doesn't end until the end of April. And so I could have knit the Hippo for Mother's Day in April, but then, as far as I understand, that KAL's not going to end until the end of May. And so I decided to not knit a Lolo Did It skein last month and save it for May. So here is my Hippo for Mother's Day, which I will very appropriately, I think, make into a pair of socks for my mom. I have these that I made that I was planning on giving to her for Mother's Day, along with a non-yarn Mother's Day gift, and so I think that if I start these on May 1, I should be able to hopefully, get the pair done for Mother's Day to be able to send with her package. But of course it won't take up the whole skein, and so I'm probably going to take what's left and knit another pair of Rose City rollers for myself using this, which is another little Lolo in Elba Island, which just happens to match really well with the blue that's in here. I know it's kind of hard to see, the speckles are now all interspersed, but it's a pretty good match to the blue in here. And then, of course, as I said, I don't have any Desert Vista Dye Works in my stash right now. I'm waiting. I just got a shipping notification the other day, so it should be here, I think, on Thursday. So I can't pick out my May socks for that, but I did pick out my May socks for my box of socks, and it is this gorgeousness. This, actually, I was surprised to find out, is a local dyer. This dyer is from Loveland, which is only about an hour away from where I am. In fact, Loveland was where the Interweave Fiber Fest was that I went to last month, or the beginning of this month, rather. So the dyer is Manic Pixie Dream yarn, and this is her Zoe base, and I'll link, of course, her shop down below. But she's on Etsy. Hopefully she's still on Etsy. I think I got this in a partner swap. So hopefully she's still dyeing. And the colorway is Cloudy with a Chance of Rainbows. So it's basically a gray stripe with it's kind of like a rainbow variegated. So I'm excited about this. So this will be for my box of socks for May. And then the last skein that I wound up, you may say, gosh, Christy, that's a lot of skeins planned for socks, and you're right, it is. But again, with the Rose City rollers, I can almost knit a sock a day. So I can knit 3 pairs of Rose City rollers probably in a week, if I really wanted to. It'd probably take me a week and a half, because I do have homework. But they go really fast. So, you know, it's not quite that bad. But I did want to pick out, I've been getting a lot of, you know, variegated yarns and speckled yarns, and I'm really excited when they come, but then I don't often get to knit them up because because I'm in a lot of knitting, because I'm in a lot of KALs. I don't think that I'm in too many KALs, but when I'm in the Desert Vista Dye Works, my box of socks and Lolo Did It. Well, between the three of those, I'm kind of limited. Well, two of them I am definitely limited because I need to knit them out of those dyers' yarns, which is fine. Totally cool. I'm not complaining in any way. But for the box of socks, I have picked, I particularly wanted to knit up old stripers that I'd had in my stash for a long time. So I have them in, these ones that I picked out already, that I have in bags, and I have to pick for that sock, that pair of socks out of those yarns. And so that's 3 pairs of socks each month, basically, that I kind of have already been picked out for me. And so, so I really wanted to pick out one of these really great new yarn dyers, these indie dyers that I'd been purchasing, hadn't tried yet. And so I picked up the Spun Right Round for that. This is her colorway Blender. It's got so many colors. I'm so excited about this. I'm really hoping that this will knit up as pretty as it looks in the cake and as pretty as it looked in the skein. I'm very, very excited about this. I am telling myself that I have to knit my mom's socks first before I can knit this. I got to get those done in time. So once I finish my mom's socks, then I'm definitely, yes. Yeah. So there you go. So, so those are my plans for my May knitting. Now, you know me, I'm going to throw in something weird here and again. That's just what I do. I'm still working on my pavement sweater. I might decide all of a sudden I want to knit a hat or a shawl or something else, because I am, kind of a mood knitter as well. And so if I watch somebody's podcast and they're like, oh, I just made this and it was awesome, and I'm going to be like, oh, I want to make one too, so I'm going to cast it on right now. So we'll just see what else May brings us. And then I may get more knitting done in May. I may get less knitting done in May. It is my birthday next Tuesday, my 40th birthday, and I don't know why I keep having to explain that it's my 40th birthday. For some reason, I feel like that needs to be defined every time I talk about my birthday. But yeah, so I may get a little bit of extra time. Like Ron might do that as kind of a gift for my birthday, to kind of like just let me be without any child interruptions or anything like that, and just have a bunch of uninterrupted knitting time. He tries to do the things that he thinks are going to be the most important to me, regardless of the cost, and he knows me very well, and he knows that I am a woman of simple desires, and a couple hours of uninterrupted knitting time really makes me happy. Also, not having to do dinner or the dishes or any housework on my birthday also makes me very happy, which he does for me every year. Used to be that he used to do the dinner and the dishes. Now he has the children do the dinner and the dishes, but you know what? I'm okay with it. As long as I don't have to do it, that's all that matters. Ron's birthday is also in May, and actually it's kind of a funny story. My parents' birthdays are 2 days apart in September, and my grandparents' birthdays were a week apart in August. And when I was growing up, when I was little, I thought that in order to be in love, your birthdays had to be close together. I, of course, grew older and realized that the closeness of your birthdays didn't really have anything to do with love. But when Ron and I first started dating, I joked around with him, because his birthday is at the end of May and my birthday is at the beginning of May, that it was destined to be, because, hey, our birthdays are close together, right? And you kind of joke around about that, but I will say, my grandparents were married for 57 years. About 57 years, maybe 55 years, somewhere around there. And they only stopped being married because my grandfather passed away. My parents, just last week, celebrated their 43rd anniversary, and still, really like each other. And then Ron and I have been married for almost 19 years. So maybe there's some truth in there. Anyway, so because Ron's birthday is at the end of the month, I may get less knitting at the end of the month, depending on what he wants to do for his birthday. So we'll just see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get into the acquisitions. I don't have very much today. In one of the swap groups that I'm in, they have a wishing thread where you can grant a wish, and then when you grant the wish, you can make a wish. You can wish for 3 to 5 things between a certain price range, and I was recently in there. I was actually racked random act of kindness, the wishes. So I didn't actually grant a wish, but somebody who did decided to give me her wishes, which was very sweet, and was quite a nice surprise. But in my wishes, I had wished for a project bag, and the gal who granted has her own shop. Her shop is Cat's Colors, and she has an Etsy shop. I'll link it down below, of course. This project bag she had in her shop at the time, and I just thought it was adorable. I think it's called Llamas in Windows. So you have like the Alfred Hitchcockian llama, with his profile, and you got a couple of those. But it's this llama right here. I think he's adorable, because he's like, what? What are you looking at? Why are you staring in my window? I just love him. He's adorable. There's another one of them on the back, but I think this side is my favorite, because he's just right there, right in the middle, and he's like, what? And then it is lined with orange on the inside, my favorite color, and it's got her label, Cat's Colors label, and it's a little wedge bag, perfect for a sock or a double skein shawl project. You could probably even fit maybe a small sweater in here. Yeah, so I'm really keen on finally being able to use this. I've had it for a couple of days, and I was waiting for the podcast, as I do. And then I have 2 skeins of yarn to show you. The first one is the next edition in the Hippo for the Holidays by Lauren of Lolo Did It. I had thought that she was going to do... It is Mother's Day, right? No! Gosh, I said, I'm sorry. I've just now realized that I had said that this was Hippo for Mother's Day. It's not. It's Hippo for Easter. I apologize. I got that wrong. I should have checked my notes before I started talking. So yeah, Hippo for Easter that I will be knitting for my mom for Mother's Day. The next skein that I have from the Hippo for Holidays run that Lauren is doing, I expected to be Hippo for Mother's Day, which is why I had it in my head. But she actually did Hippo for Cinco, which I love. I'm glad that she picked that holiday. So this is my Hippo for Cinco skein, which is always, a gray base for the hippo part, and then it's got some green and red, and this great like chartreusey yellow and some pink. Just really pretty. And I'm really excited about this one. So yeah, I got this in her plush sock, which I think is my favorite of her base. It's a 75% merino, superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel, which I thought I wouldn't like because I'm normally not a big fan of tencel, but I really like this base. So yeah, so I grabbed that, and she started doing something different. She normally does her updates on Saturdays, but I guess there was a lot of people having a hard time getting the hippo colorways. They were always getting sold out too quickly. And so she has started, for this one, she's starting releasing those without any fanfare during the week, just kind of sneaking them into the shop, and then having her other yarns on her Saturday updates. So I think you have a better time, an easier time of getting it that way. I had an easy time, but I haven't had a hard time getting any of them. I think there was one of the hippo skeins that I had to try over 2 weeks to get, but other than that, I've gotten them pretty much every time I've wanted them. But I'm also the type of person that like stalks the update right at the time, so that might have helped. And then the last yarn that I have to show you today, I had talked about last week when I had gotten the Yarn Cafe Creations yarn, which is dyed by Cristi of the Yarn Cafe podcast. And if you watch that podcast at all, and you should, then you know that she podcasts with her daughter Tristan, who dyes for Dragon Horde yarn. So they use the same yarn bases, I believe, which is great. But they both have their own artistic flair, and they're slightly different eyes for color. So they come up with their own different colorways. So they're definitely two different yarn companies. But I couldn't try one without trying the other, right? So I'd already gotten some Yarn Cafe Creations, so I went ahead and got some Dragonhorn yarn this time. And this is the skein that I got. This is My Island. It's based on Moana, the movie Moana, I believe. Yeah, she did a whole, she did one for Brave, and she did one for The Little Mermaid as well, where she did like just this series of a couple of colorways that were based on those movies, and I think this one was based on Moana. And guys, it's gorgeous. This orange here, it just makes me drool. It's so pretty. Not literally. I don't literally drool. I keep my saliva inside my mouth, I promise. But yeah, I'm just really excited about this. I almost picked this for my May socks, but I was like, come on, Cristi, you just got the yarn. Let's give some of the yarns that you've gotten a couple of months ago a chance to play first. So I'm going to wait, but I may not be able to wait past May. I'm just letting you know. Really, really love it. So, and that's it, guys. I think it's time for me to stop talking. I've had to cut out a lot, or I will have had to cut out a lot by the time you see this, of coughing and blowing my nose and all that kind of stuff. A couple of text messages came in, a couple of phone calls. I need to probably put my phone on silent, or even better, put it in the other room while I'm podcasting. But yeah, that's it. So I will let you go until next week. I'm going to go downstairs and edit this, and hopefully get it posted before I have to pick my kids up from school. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy knitting. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.